Mr. Speaker, on Tuesday, the Rules Committee met and reported the rule, House Resolution 436, providing for consideration of H.R. 2740, the Labor, Health, and Human Services, Education, Defense, State, Foreign Operations, and Energy and Water Development Appropriations Act 2020. Order by the rule and not earlier disposed of. Finally, the rule includes one motion to recommit.
The gentlewoman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, it was only a few months ago that we were standing here voting to end the longest government shutdown in the history of the United States. A shutdown that hurt so many of our constituents like David Pesco, an FAA air traffic controller at Ontario Airport. He was in escrow to purchase a home. And without a paycheck coming in, he had to rely on his family and friends' generosity in order to make ends meet. We owe David and the American people much more. And that is why I am especially proud of the timely introduction of these appropriation bills. It exemplifies the hard work of my colleagues on the Appropriations Committee and this majority's commitment to good governance. Mr. Speaker, in years past, we have relied strongly on omnibus spending bills to fund the government. But now, with the hard work done by members on both sides of the aisle, this majority is leading us in a return to regular order. As often has been said on this very floor, the primary job of Congress is to fund the American government and keep it open and operating. Our constituents deserve no less. With this package under consideration today, the House will do just that with respect to 4 of the 12 spending bills. In passing this bill, we will provide crucial funding for services across broad areas of the government and fulfill our promises to the American people. That funding includes historic investments in programs that provide opportunities for millions of people, including my constituents in the Inland Empire. Perhaps more important than what is included in this bill is what is not included. This minibus rejects the president's draconian budget cuts that would have hurt every American, but especially women and children. Instead, we have won increased funding for a number of important priorities. This bill boosts biomedical research at the National Institute of Health, expands opioid abuse treatment and prevention programs, and launches new initiatives for maternal and child health. I recently visited 3 health clinics in my district that provide 30,000 families with life-saving care. This bill provides $400 million for the Title X Family Planning Program so that everyone in the Inland Empire and across America can continue to have access to cancer screenings, STI tests, reproductive care, and other life-saving services. It also protects against the administration's policies that prevent a woman from making choices about her future, like when to have a child. When women do decide to become mothers, this bill supports them by investing in working families and our children, with $7.8 billion for the Child Care and Development Block Grant Program. Passing this bill will demonstrate our commitment to the ideal that all students deserve a quality, safe, and affordable education. And that commitment is realized in over $24 billion in funding for federal student aid programs, almost $2 billion more than the president's insufficient request. And just as important, this bill's acknowledgement of how far we have to go in helping underserved communities. The bill provides $917 million to assist minority-serving institutions, including $150 million for Hispanic-serving institutions like Cal Poly Pomona, Cal State San Bernardino, and UC Riverside, which prepare thousands of students in my district to be tomorrow's leaders. Mr. Speaker, I am also happy to report that this legislation provides the funding necessary for a 3.1% pay raise for our service members who continue to serve our nation around the world. As a mother of an Air Force veteran, it is wonderful news to hear that our service members are being acknowledged for the hard work that they do, keeping our nation safe at home and abroad. In addition to paying our service members more, this bill will protect our men and women in a uniform from one of the most common harms that they encounter: sexual assault. The $38 million in additional funding for DoD's sexual assault prevention and response programs will ensure that survivors have representation while navigating the complicated military justice process, that they will not have to wait years for a resolution. Years, Mr. Speaker, as one of my constituents had to do. This bill not only invests in our priorities at home, it advances our priorities abroad. And I am particularly pleased with increased investments in certain areas, including global reproductive health and aid to Central American countries. This bill empowers countless women who are the backbone of their families around the world by increasing funding for family planning programs, reversing the president's disastrous global gag rule, and contributing $55.5 million to the United Nations Population Fund. Robust funding is included for counter-narcotics and law enforcement efforts in Colombia, Mexico, Central America, and the Caribbean. This bill also ensures that the funding provided goes to the right people, Mr. Speaker, instead of the corrupt officials that undermine democracy and misuse U.S. aid. This is especially important given the recent report regarding corruption in the Northern Triangle countries of Guatemala and Honduras. And finally, the last part of this bill that I would like to highlight is what we are doing to invest in our energy and water infrastructure. The bill rejects the president's short-sighted proposed cuts to key energy and water programs and instead invests $46.6 billion to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure, build the next generation of clean energy technologies, and combat the urgent threat that is climate change. This is a good bill. This is a bill that should be signed into law. And I urge my colleagues to vote for this rule so that we can get back to regular order and avoid another costly shutdown. Mr. Speaker, I reserve the balance of my time.